Hello, everybody. I am A13, and I'm doing power rankings today with my friend Volt. You want to say hi?
Hello, I am Volt, and I'm also here. We are both coaches of RODL this season, and you are graced with us to be recording the power rankings. Probably a terrible decision on Andrew's part, but oh well.
We were here last time for like almost 2 hours breaking down teams.
Yes,
But
we're going to try and not make it as long as last time.
let's go for an hour this time. But, anyways, for context, the entirety of the RODL PR, right? We're going to be doing it like this next up slide, if I can get it done. So, here we have the RODL logo, and we have on the, like right underneath RODL logo is our opinion of your best Pokemon. And then on the left, we have
Right?
worst Pokemon, in our opinion. It's all of this is objectively opinion or based like that. So just bear with us for a bit. It,
Yes, we by no means we're saying it bad because some teams are amazing comp. It's just the one that doesn't really fit in.
yeah, like we're more like saying that's a weird pick than that's a garbage pick, you know.
Hmm. If on
So
a different team, it may have done a better job. So it's not
also,
necessarily it's a bad Pokemon.
I should mention that this is more like before grace period, so we don't have your trades locked in or anything. It's just what you picked originally in draft. So keep that in mind. Uh, we're not dissing anything. We're just saying that's a weird pick. We don't see the synergy there, or it's a weird synergy there. Uh, and this is, at the end of the day, this is all just our opinions. So, kick
Mhm.
back, relax, grab a drink. Uh, let's just jump right into this. So I'm currently on the first slide, and we have the Boston Cyndaquils. They have Zero Aura, Tornadus T, Tangrowth, Licky Licky, Girder, Blastoise, Slowbro Galar, and Blastoise, Entei, and Guzzler.
And Charjabug. We can't forget Charjabug.
I thought I already called out Charjabug.
No,
Okay,
we
and
didn't.
Charjabug. Best Earth Type counter, by the way, don't at me.
No.
So,
For both
for,
of them.
yeah, okay. Anyways, sorry. Um,
So,
so, our opinion, Entei was your most solid pick. Priority, Sacred Fire burns, Flare Blitz burns, which are really weird. Will-O-Wisp, all in all, Stomping Tantrum, physical, special, you can run it however you want. How even a mix set works here. Um, it does really well with your fire with your grass and water as your fire type. As Tangrowth is bulk, Blastoise can play both a bulk role and a sweeper role. Why is okay?
yes,
And
Gelsmack is terrifying.
yes, and all in all, priority is also really good to have. So, really strong team right out the rip. Uh, However, we do think that Guzzlord, really weird pick, really weird synergy here. Uh,
You
Maybe
don't have a
it's
fairy type or a steel type to go with it. It's just like you felt like you needed a dark type to go with your Gerda and Slowbro Gala, and then you picked up Guzzlord and was like, oh shit, this is a terrible one. Because I'm pretty sure you traded it now, but we do agree with that trade. It doesn't fit in with your team.
yeah, like maybe if you drafted something that synergized alongside Guzzlord, like U-turn and Voltage, really good pivot for letting Guzzlord in. But Guzzlord requires so much support. You'd probably need a better rock setter and a better hazard setter because let me tell you, Chief, charge a bug as your sticky web setter. Nah,
And your only hazards,
and your only
it's not good.
hazards, yes.
And then you've got Blastoise, which has got either got for defog, you either have to run it on Gerda, which I'm not shitting on because I know my good pal Coffee loved running defog Gerda,
I almost lost to
or you're
that.
forced to run, Boots, wasting move on Torn Teeth for defog, or you waste a move on Blastoise running Rapid Spin. So it's not really optimal. Oh, when if say if you want to run an offensive spec set on your Taunt team, you're always taking rock damage. You know, you're fighting one of the few teams that don't have stealth rock.
Yeah, good points by Wolf there. Oh,
Um,
sorry, that was kind of dry.
yeah. Also, good luck to anybody fighting you because you will not be keeping your items on your mons for very long. Zero Aura, Taunty, Tangrowth, Gerda,
Licky
Persian,
licky.
all
Oh,
the
licky.
knockoffs.
Yeah,
Licky
licky
Licky. I can't
licky.
forget my boy Licky Licky. Licky Licky gets knockoff too. It's just like nobody's going to be keeping their items. The one problem I do have with the team is it's very vulnerable to burn, and like Zero Aura, Tangrowth, Oof, Gerda, you get the point. All don't want to be burned, and those are your main strong cores, which is one turn off for this team for me. But apart from that, I do really like this team, and I think you should be able to well in this league if you play it right.
I mean, I'm gonna interrupt you there and say burn isn't that big of an issue because Licky Licky gets healed well, and Zero's a fast taunter, so Will-O-Wisp.
Very true, but you only get 8 heal bells, so like at the end of the day, it's not optimal.
That is true. Well, anyways, on to the next team.
I have very strong opinion that it's Melmetal team, purely rooting down to my hatred for Melmetal, and I was
Okay.
not allowed to put it as the worst mon on the team because A13 wouldn't let me. But at the end of the day, this is a pretty solid team. You are gonna get drowned by Will-O-Wisp though. If your opponent has a strong Will-O-Wisper, Dracozole, Melmetal, Hippowdon, Mianxiao, Glycopod, and Avalok all don't want to be burned. You've got a lot of physical hits. I'd
And
maybe think
Dusk
about
Warrior. We can't
changing that.
forget Dusk Warrior.
Yeah, and Dusknoir. Poltergeist is just not going to hit as hard if it's burned, and that's just disappointing. And I don't really, personally, I don't see myself using Dusknoir ever in a draft league. And I don't think it's an amazing mon, but I have seen bits done with it, so I can't diss on it. It's just not my style.
Uh, so I want to go ahead and say something here. So Darmanitan, right? I'm looking at it. Solid U-turn one, but you only really have the okay. You're gonna be forced to run two items, three, four maybe if we're counting belly drum. But Darm's very predictable. It does the same thing every week. If it has a belly drum matchup, it will use it. It's very reliant on being a one trick pony, which could come back to bite you in the ass. Um,
Mm.
U-turn spam is good because you have a U-turn. You have a pivot core with U-turn, Mian Shao, U-turn, Darm, and then
Zatu,
teleport.
and
Yeah,
then Zatu, and then Zora. Yeah. So you do have a decent amount of pivot, but the another problem I have with this team is you have no heal bell. So once you get burned, your team's just gonna collapse. It's gonna crumble in on itself. If your opponent has a wish passer, they can just heal back any damage they've taken before, and your burned mons are just gonna do nothing to stop your
yeah.
opponent team. So I think you may struggle with the team comp. I maybe look and see what heal bowlers are still left on the tier list and maybe pick one of those up.
Shit, I think you genuinely need a faster wall breaker than Mian Shao or Scarf Darm, just because of the fact that, like, yeah, sand works, but what if you run into Dracovish with Sandwich? Like, they're gonna abuse that. You just like fucked yourself over, Chief.
Or
But you know,
Excadrill runs through this team.
ooh, exit really. But you know what? Look, we're getting a little sidetracked. We have to talk about the best and the worst. I mean, I don't like using those titles, but yeah, those Pokemon. Zoroark, Pivot, Sludge Bomb. Illusion is a plus, but Team Preview ruins it, so that's a
Yeah,
shame.
if Team
But
Preview didn't ruin it, it would be such a disgusting Pokemon to play with. But it can be played around because you can select the order that your Pokemon go in, so it's less of a, it's more of a guessing game still. It's just like you know what to play around, and you know to keep in mind that you have a Zoroark on your team, and that you could be
yeah,
being baited.
yeah,
So
yeah.
all around, I think it's your best mon on your team, and it's one of your only mons that isn't vulnerable to being burned. And then Avalog, I don't really get. You've already got a lot of slow mons with. I believe you don't have any Trick Room. I don't believe Dartu gets Trick Room. So you've got a lot of slow mons, and then you've got a really fast mons with Hippowdon boosting Dracozolt speed. So your speed tiers are kind of all over the place, in my opinion. So
They're
that's if
hopping.
you improve on.
Your speed tiers are
Maybe
doing
replace that with
parkour.
Avalanche or something.
But yeah, I honestly, uh, I've used Avalog. God, shout out to Piss God, my Avalog. But I really don't see why it's on this team. Besides, hazards clearance, which you do have that in the form of Zatu, and being a wall, which again goes to Hippowdon. Hell, even Melmetal and Dusknoir do its job better as they're able to recover while damaging the enemy. But
Mm.
Avalug is really, really weird pick here. It doesn't like sand because it needs its sturdy. It doesn't like rocks because of its weakness to them.
This team also gets very heavily destroyed by Rocky Helmet. Like, you're just going to be taking so much shit if it's on a really bulky mon that can just come in on pretty much anything on your team.
Yeah, basically.
Like,
But
a Corviknight will be pretty good, minus the Dracozolt coming in.
minus the Darmanitan coming in, but
And the
Flare
Darmanitan,
Blitz. But yeah, on to the next team.
which
The,
is,
the
I
Dundee
cannot pronounce
Dittos.
this team. Save my life, thank you.
The Dundee
Um,
Dittos.
I do quite like this team. You've got a lot of solid picks, and you also managed to make your worth. I believe you're one of the few teams that drafted 11 Pokemon. I can't be asked to count it, but I believe that is 11. Like Noivern, Terratinator,
That is 11.
yeah, it's 11.
Yeah.
Noivern, Turtonator, Aromatisse are all amazing picks, and then it'd be greater if your Fairy Dragon Steel Cord didn't have a Ferroseed in the middle being a Steel type, but that's fine. You have ways around that with Vaporeon on Rotom Heat, so you'll be able to constantly keep him on Steel. Then you have Spectria backing that up, so if your opponent does have a good normal type that can also somehow do Tangrowth, your opponent is going to be pretty screwed because picking up Pangoro to pair with the Spectria is a very smart choice because it means you have a great dark fighting type that can just come in on anything the Spectria doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah. So, your best Pokemon and your worst Pokemon. Best Pokemon, Spectrier, just because of the fact that it's, Spectrier. I mean, granted, Willow Hex and the amount of support it has to let it spam Hex is kind of crazy. Like Toxic Spikes, Whirlipede, Stealth Rocks from Ferris Seed, along with Spikes, Thunder
You
Wave
also
with
have the
Kadabra.
Rotom to Will-O-Wisp thing for you if you really wanted it to.
Yeah, you could straight up run Specs and have something else be your status and hazard stuff.
Mm.
But all in all, Spectre has a lot of support with this team and a lot of synergy too, because Vaporeon getting Flip Turn this generation, absolutely amazing. Because now I can fire off a Wish, Flip Turn now, and then your Spectre come in and just get full heal, bro. But as your worst Pokemon, Galardar.
You could have spent your points in far better places. Like, those 10 points could have gone so far with this team. You could have probably gotten a better Steel type. Like, Ice type is just one of the worst types in the game. Everybody knows what Galardon does, and if a good Steel type comes in, it just can't touch it. And most weeks, you're going to be running a choice item, either choice Scarf or choice Band. You're going to need Scarf to be able to outspeed things, otherwise, you just lose, or Galardon dies. Yeah, you'll be putting people in situation occasionally where it's pick sack, but they pick sack and then they reverse hit you with something stupidly hard, and then you're in a situation where you have to pick a sack or pick something that you want to take a huge amount of damage just to keep this Galadon alive.
And another issue, while it does help with your pivot core, bro, Galardar really, like, there's only two moves you're gonna be clicking every time it comes in: U-turn or Icicle Crash. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Literally Dracovish minus the actual intimidation factor. I mean, Galardar is scary, but it's like, oh, Sandfish. It doesn't hit the same.
Mm.
So on to the next team, or
Which is the grading Vikvolts. I really like this team. This team is another banger that Kosak always seems to draft really good
Cossack
teams.
back with a banger. Sorry.
Yeah, Kosek always just seems to draw really good teams, which scares me. And if he plays them well, I know he should be able to get playoff with this team. Like Coco Lucha is always scary. Nobody will fight it. It does suck with the second your your Lucha has to switch out after using it berries, it loses its drops, but it's got the speed to be able to not worry about that. And say if you run a Sword Dance Electric Seed set, you are going to be able to sweep the floor with somebody because they won't expect it, and you're just going to run through them, or you just leave it until your late game sweeper once you've taken out all the things that stop Halucha, and then you just sweep with it. Having Corviknight on your side is all very helpful because it won't be being used against you. Jugalgi is another solid pick. Chandler is amazing. I'm sure Jalen would be very happy that you've drafted it because I know he's very fond of them on. And then I know A13 will love Tangela just purely because it's Tangela. And
Woo!
then Trapinch with the arena trap, you can just trap them on at the start and get your rocks up straight away. Maybe get a sneaky kill with a choice bandit set 1 week. Never really know what you can do with it. Overall, it's a solid team. One mon I don't like, which we both didn't like, was Obstagoon. I don't really think it fits in here. That's just personal preference, and we had to choose something. And Tangler and Trapinch just weren't worthy at the one spot because what they do it well. Obstagoon is kind of like a one-trick pony. You're forced to run Flame Orb, Guts, Facade. So if your opponent has good Ghost type, you just can't touch them.
Yeah, even with knockoff support, you like they know you're gonna click knockoff. They're not gonna switch it in. But
Yeah,
your best Pokemon, Coco, just because of what Coco can and will do. It can either choose to run Defog Screens U-Turn. It can be a Bandit set. Keep that in mind. Spec set, Calm Mind, Pure Pivot only, Bulky, Roost, Defog, straight up just Roost attacks. Uh, Coco just really good niche and really works with your U-turn because this generation Dragalge got flip turn, so super pivotal here. Three solid pivot mons, all of them who can either do it fast, do it slow and eat the hit, or can set up hazards and then get out of there. All in all, very solid team all around. Like I yelled before, Kosek back with another banger. Absolutely amazing.
there
So
is only one problem I have with this team is you're relying on Roost for recovery. So you're just going to be clicking. You're going to have to be running shit like Roost Coco, Roost Talucha, Roost Corviknight because you have no clerics whatsoever. And your only hazards are Toxic Spikes, which any flying type comes in on and just defogs, which is also very sad.
yeah.
But apart from that, it is an amazing team.
Also, something we didn't notice: your team is very electric weak. Like Trapinch is your only answer to an opposing electric type,
Mm,
but yeah, your team does not want to come in on like a Thunderbolt or a Thunder
yeah,
if you're feeling frisky.
and Coco doesn't really help because it boosts those electric type attacks. So Coco doesn't even really want to come in on the electric type attacks, even if it's a bulky set.
Yeah, but all in all, absolute banger. And let's just go on to the new next team.
Oh, we have the champion next, Bladel and the Helgen Hydreigon. This team is another solid one from Bladel. He also always seems to draft pretty good teams. I
Little with a
like the
banger.
Clefable, I like the Clefable Registeel Weavile. That's a very strong set of Pokemon. You have your Toxicas and your Thick Walls, which you can heal up, which I know you love. You're a very big fan of Regice. And then you have your Weavile to dish out damage and your Azelf. I'm sure you'll do bits with the Charizard, despite, in my personal opinion, I don't think you'll bring it much. And if you do, it will have to run boots because losing half of your HP isn't fun. And then you have Naganadel. Wait, is it Naganadel? No, it's not Naganadel. What the fuck is the
Nihilego.
poison rock? See, that's such a stupid name for a dyslexic person to try and read. Nihileo, or whatever it is. You have this thing. This thing's a monster.
If you want, you could
Meteor
call it
Beam Choice
Nihi.
Spec. Meteor Beam Choice Specs. Meteor Beam Power Herb. Is it Power Herb?
Yeah, power.
Yeah, Power Herb. Meteor Beam Power Herb will do a lot. The one problem I think I have with this team is Rillaboom. It's a great pick, but it doesn't fit into this team. It's going to help your opponents more, dealing with Toxic, with getting that extra healing in. Your Azelf is floating, something that would really benefit from the residual healing, and so is your Charizard that would love to get the bone healing, but it can't, which means you're just going to be relying on clicking roots on a Pokemon that wants to be dealing damage with Charizard.
Also,
Um,
while earthquake protection with grassy terrain really does help, your team doesn't really worry about earthquake. Like maybe Lantern and Registeel, but and, of course Nihilego, but I really don't see what grassy terrain does besides giving you priority that Weavile already has with Ice Shard and Fake Out.
hmm.
Yeah. That's,
Overall, it is a very solid team, though, and this is another team where you are not keeping your items. Weavile, Rollaby, Sandslash, Rillaboom, Nihilego, Clefable, Azelf all get knockoffs. Just
I
your opponents aren't keeping their items for very long.
I forgot Nihilego got knocked off.
Yeah, very, very scary teams for Pokemon that are reliant on their items. Say if people are running AV for the Clefable and the whatever, however the fuck you pronounce that stupid ass Pokemon.
Okay.
Anyway, next team because that Pokemon's name annoys me.
Uh,
Is
Outplays
Lucas.
Volcaronas.
Um, Lucas, why have you done this to everybody again? Why have you picked up a scary but then kind of questionable team? Like Sun was a great idea, but you already had Urshifu Rapid Strike, which just does not like Sun whatsoever. Your Quagsire School also isn't going to be doing as much in Sun, which isn't amazing, but
Also,
oh well.
opposing grass types with Solar Beam will abuse it and bye bye Quagsire because there's no way you're living a Solar Beam from like Specs Modest. Like you drafted the best Sun Sweeper with Chlorophyll Venusaur, but then someone could just have Chlorophyll Shiftry. Bye bye Quagsire. Solar Beam will
Yeah.
hurt. Solar Blade will hurt. You'll live, but like it's gonna sting and you won't kill back.
I also feel like you're relying very heavily on Bex Exploud and Mew to be able to sweep your teams because Rabombi hasn't got the bolt to be able to sweep the team unless you set up with enough quiver downstairs. Mandy Buzz is just kind of there to do what it does: foul play, toxic, roost, and defog. And then you have Duraludon, which is kind of fallen off with the introduction of the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra Pokemon. So this is why we put Quagsire as your best Pokemon, even though it is very much hindered by Sun. So is Urshifu.
Everyone knows what Urshifu does. Protective pads, bulk up, choice band, choice scarf. It's very
Mm-hmm.
one dimensional. It's about as one dimensional as one of those Instagram bots. Yeah.
Mm.
So
I will give you credit though for Jalen. You do have a lot of hazards, and Pokemon, your opponent's permanently going to be bringing in their designated defogger for that match to get those hazards out of the way. Because if you set up enough of them, they're just going to have a bad time.
yeah, their hazards are easy to stack with your team, which is kind of scary.
Anyway, the next team, the Manchester Park Slowpokes. Why am I being given the job of reading the team names? This is awful.
I'm trying to read them and you keep cutting me off. But anyways, since I'm here too.
I'll let you introduce this
Thank
team
you.
and then I'll rant about it.
I think it's Machesney Park Slowpokes. So, uh, yeah, you know what? I'll go for it. Rufflet,
Mm-hmm.
weird pig, but okay, Chief. I really won't hold you to it. Garbodor, Galvantula, Arcanine, ooh, Regidraco, Maractus, Azumarill, T-Tar, Excadrill, and Mimikyu. So, first things first, you're probably wondering why are Excadrill and Mimikyu not switched? Like Excadrill's best. I take it back. No, if you didn't have Excadrill, you'd get swept by Excadrill. If you didn't have, dude, okay, Sand, strong team, strong team. Like Sand is a strong playstyle, but you lose, to opposing Sand setters. Ground types love your team. They love being able to click Earthquake for free. Garchomp comes in, if you didn't have Excadrill, fuck, dude. Even like Earth Power Curum comes in and is just kind of like, yo, I claim a kill now, send it out. Honestly, yeah, no, your team just straight up loses to Curum. I have no idea how that happens, but yeah, it
Yeah,
just does.
or any strong ground type you lose to.
Yeah,
This team is kind of painful. It has great ideas behind it, but any strong ground type once Azumarill is dead, run through your team because Maractus and Rufflet are not going to survive long enough. My other problem I have with this team is your only hazard removal is Rufflet and Excadrill. Excadrill, it's so situational on whether you can click Rapid Spin due to its lack of HP, and Rufflet is maybe going to come one game and then you're going to realize it's awful and never bring it again.
yeah, basically. So we put Mimikyu as your best Pokemon because besides Disguise, even though it got nerfed for Disguise, uh,
It's
Will-O-Wisp
the only
support,
one that doesn't get swept by a ground type.
yeah, Will-O-Wisp support Wood Hammer, which is a really weird thing for it to get, but hey, it has Wood Hammer, so
Mm-hmm.
let's
If
see.
you didn't get recoil, it would be amazing.
Oh, it also gets Drain Punch, so Steel types who think they're safe or not. It gets, its Ghost and Fairy Stab is really good. Like, all in all, Mimikyu is solid on your team. Kind of a shame that it's nerfed as badly as it is, but, Mimikyu, solid pick on your team. As, well, it doesn't help round everything out. It gives it some support, so Excadrill is a little more intimidating than opposing ground types.
I do feel like you're going to be relying a lot on Swords Dance Sweep, but then if you face a good Will-O-Wisp, this team also falls apart again.
Uh, mm, Not even because the dog
It's got
flash
it's
fire.
got no cleric though.
It's got a what? Yeah, no cleric. That's a good thing. That's a good thing to bring up. I mean, but yeah, other than that, solid team. It looks and feels like an amalgamation of things that do well in certain niches, but then when you bring them together, you're like, no, not really. But yeah, on to our next team, the Miami Malamarlins.
Mm-hmm. Let me just pull up this team, and then we can jump right into it. Okay,
Okay.
I do very much like this team. I do think it is again one of the stronger ones. I love Celebi, very underrated. It doesn't get drafted much in RODL. Cinderace is another good pick here, despite being nerfed this season, being restricted to only Blaze. It's still gonna hit like a small semi truck. Um, Vikavolt, never been a huge fan, but you should be able to do bit with it because it can put out a pretty decent damage output. Then you have your Swampert, Diancie, and Drapion, which all also do great jobs with Swampert and Diancie being tanks, and then your Drapion being another high damage outputter. And then you have Celesteela and Komodo, both amazing picks, have amazing synergy. Only problem is your team does look like it wants to get hit by a fighting type with your other two parts of your Fairy Dragon Steel Core. Like two strong close combat from any fighting type mons, and these two are going to be losing a large chunk of their health unless it's the bulky set. Komodo is the best mon purely because clicks Kanger souls, and then you have to worry about whether it's special or physical or whether you prepped right for it. Very scary mon.
Don't
And then you
forget
have
that Como also has just like a plethora of sets,
yeah,
offensive and defensive. Absolutely
belly
amazing.
drum, toxic, substitute, bulk up. It's just a very scary one to fight.
Yeah.
And then I don't really know why you drafted Dracoloc. It's just like a Pokemon that I think you picked up because you had the spare points lying around. A second dragon type doesn't really fit into the team. I think maybe you could trade it out for a different 2.1 because I believe this is 2.1. And I think those 2 points probably could have been used as slightly better.
Oh, definitely. So yeah, that's all we really have to say. Uh, you know, solid team all around. Uh, just just Double Dragon doesn't really make sense when the metagame has so many fairies.
Mm.
But yeah, next team.
You also need to watch out for Baron with this team because you've only got Diance as your heal Bala, and if you fight a scary steel type, you can't risk bringing it to
Doesn't
the
wait.
game.
Doesn't Celebi get heal bell?
No, Celebi doesn't, unfortunately, which doesn't really make sense.
I thought it did. That's weird.
You'd think as a time traveling Pokemon it would be able to get heal bell, but it doesn't.
Uh, yeah. Either way, next team, the
The
Nashville Nido
Nido
Kings. Oh, brother. Okay,
You can take this team.
I'll take it. Braves, buddy, you were a force to be reckoned with. You still are, since you drafted Hail. But really weird. I understand Archivist here, but at the same time, I really don't. So Arctovish, Auroras, Delmise, Blacephalon, Ferrothorn, Tapu Bulu, Gastrodon, and Dreadnought. Okay. Another team that just loses Kyurem. But that out of the way, your team hates fire and fighting types. You have Tapu Bulu in the back, which can eat a fighting type move, but not a fire type move. Latios doesn't want to switch in because knockoff. Arctovish.
And it doesn't have enough bulk.
And yeah, lack of bulk. Arctovish, close combat just nukes it. Gastrodon, nuke. Your team also really, like, weirdly enough, doesn't like grass types. Like, Rillaboom runs through it. But on to the next thing. So, your best and your worst. Best Pokemon, Ferrothorn. Hazards. I saw Bandit once, not here in RODL, but a Bandit set could work on this. Body Press, Thunder Wave to stop things, hazard stacking, of course. Iron Barb is always really good. Anticipation, surprisingly good on that. But yeah, Ferrothorn has a really good niche here, really good at eating hits. And Leech Seed to just whittle things down for whatever you have in the back. But I hate to say it, but Dreadnought, weakest link here. Why Dreadnought? Like, you already have a mon that's like quad weak to grass. You have two Pokemon that don't want to take, three that want to take a fighting type attack, but then you went and added a fourth. Like, Conkeldurr, clicking close combat, free AF here. Like, it enjoys clicking Mach Punch, Dream Punch, close combat. Also, the fact that you have to rely on Auroras for weather is kind of going to bite you in the ass unless you're running like Rain Dance on something. And even then, you don't want to do that because Rain Dance Latios, one Rain Dance, and then it drops to like knockoff. So, all in all, your team is solid. I see the idea and the concept you had here, but you, strangely enough, just drafted something that just loses to grass types and fighting types.
The most common types in the game.
Yeah.
Another one last little thing is you're gonna be forced to run hazards every week to get hazards removed from your side of the field because you've only got Rapid Spin on the anchor Pokemon, forgotten its name, Dalmise, and then you have Defog and Latios, which doesn't want to be running Defog because it doesn't have the bulk to be a Defogger.
Latios is not Latios, which is biting it in the ass.
Latias. Yeah. If you had Latias, I think it probably would have fitted better into the team because you already have enough offense. I don't think you needed another offensive Pokemon. I think you needed maybe a bit more bulk.
Yeah.
Because if you had Latias, you'd be able to switch into those grass and fire type moves and then click recover or roost. You have the option with Latias. Anyway, the next team is the Premier Latias. I believe it's Panama.
Yeah.
Panama Latias. Yes, I can read. for once. I quite like this team. In you drafted pretty strong mons in Dragapult, Slowbro, Nidoqueen, Rotomo, Sizzle, Geodude, and Magmortar. I like Sizzle. A13 is against me on this. I like Shitothic, even that's what he calls it. Sizzle and Dragapult is cool, but he's like, Geodude can't take hits, and I'm like, Geodude is amazing. Don't disable Geodude. I love the Pokemon. And then you have Clefairy. I don't really know why you needed a second Fairy type, but oh well. Hitmontop is pretty solid, helps deal with some of your weaknesses. You have You have a good rocker in Nidoqueen. You can be one of those people that randomly runs a physical set and then messes up your opponent because they've prepared for special. One problem you have with this team at the moment is your Healbala and Wisher is a Clefairy.
Yeah, that's really the only issue. Let's focus on the right side of the field real quick. So we deemed Slowbro as your best Pokemon, not out of my own personal bias. Vol tried to fight me on this, but Slowbro itself is very good. Scald support. What is it, like 80 special attack, which is not bad as it gets access to Calm Mind. Future Sight spam, it's always good. Regenerator,
especially
really
if
good.
you lose count of the future sights, it's very scary. I've lost to so many future sights against this other man in the call.
Future Sight gang. But yeah, so Future Sight really good. So it forces your opponent to think about that turn, and if they don't have a Dark type, they have to pick a sack. Especially if you're Calm Mind Future Sight, because that's scary. That's really scary.
Yeah, because you can Calm Mind whilst the future sight is waiting, and then those added stat bonuses still get counted into the future sight.
Yeah, I would know. I'm the one who discovered that. But sorry, humble brag. But Dragapult is your worst Pokemon here. Weird, I know, considering Dragapult's such a menace. It got banned in Nat decks. But Dragapult, your team is slow and bulky. What is Dragapult doing there? Like, Dragapult can't take a hit. Sucker Punch 1v1s, okay, cool. But if your opponent is somehow faster, that Sucker Punch is just annihilating this Dragapult. Like, bye-bye, Dragapult. You switch it in, there's a good chance that your opponent high rolls you, and now Dragapult doesn't live the next hit.
Yeah,
it's a
you
very...
go from speed to 65 to 120, 142, and it's like, why?
Yeah, Dragapult is also super
86,
situational.
sorry, Rotom, 86. You go from
Yeah.
86 to 142, and it's like, why is there such a big speed gap? That's stupid. It's like 60 something.
Yeah, I think so. But either way,
Yeah,
Dragapult here.
58.
But yeah, either way, Dragapult here, super situational. Doesn't really benefit your team, but it gives you priority that you don't really need because Hitmontop is there and Scizor is there. So that's really about it.
Yeah.
So next team.
Yes, the next team.
Philadelphia Melmetals, aka Cherry Man Cake's team.
I will let you kick off with this team.
Alrighty. So he's drafted Seismitoad, Silvally, Conkeldurr, the Hydreigon, Gengar, Sylveon, Steelix, Vileplume, and Rapidash. So, first things first, you're probably wondering why the fuck Vileplume is his best mod. I put it there. But I can vouch for it. I can vouch for it. He tried to fight me too, but he couldn't because I'm always right when it comes to Vilepile. But
I thought it should have been Hydreigon, personally.
Yeah, but listen. Leech Seed support, Strength Sap support, so everything on the team is just as annoying now. Let's see. Sludge Bomb, Effect Spore is really, really good. Because who knows? They might knock off and get burned, and then you get a Strength Sap off of that. That means they're just useless now. And then that lets something like Steelix, Sylveon, even Gengar come in safely. And Gengar's frail. I cough in Gengar's general direction, and it dies. So Vileplume being here, super helpful. Shoutouts Carl. So yeah, uh, Hydreigon was another contender, but my points still stand on the Vileplume. So yeah, like
I
it
will. We
situational.
also have to give credits to Cherry with this team as well because
Oh yeah,
I believe he based his entire team off of Pokemon Masters characters, which is credits to him. He drafted a pretty good team with only using Pokemon Masters characters.
yeah, that's crazy. Like Silvalley's surprisingly good. Like I've never
Yeah, it
used
covers
it.
his weaknesses. Like if he doesn't want to bring Steelix one match, he can run Silvally Steel, and that just covers his weaknesses amazingly. The
Yeah,
problem I have with Silvally is it wants to be a physical attacker, but then its special move is just ruined by being a special attacking move.
yeah, yeah. But all
Anyway,
in all in all,
all in all, it's a pretty solid team.
yeah, Djokovic stopping Seismitoad is really always good to have. But yeah, other than that,
You decide to go dropping Dracovic.
no, like Seismitoad stops Dracovic. That's why the sentence says Dracovic stopping Seismitoad.
Okay, I'm
Because
confused.
it's a title. It's supposed to be a title. Sorry, but
Yes,
other than that, solid team. Even if it is like a theme team, it's a solid team all around. And props to
yeah,
Cherry. So on to
and
the
then
next. Oh, you were saying?
Philadelphia Phantoms is the next
Oh,
team.
yeah.
It
So
is. I quite like this draft again. It's another interesting one. You have Delmise, which is very underrated. I think it's good mon. If you play it well, it'll be good.
where's the
Raboot
Delmise?
is
I think you mean
not
Druddigon.
Delmise. No, not Dredigan.
Decidueye?
Fucking Decidueye. Yes, I am very tired. I'm sorry, people. The CGI is a good pick, underrated. If used well, it's very good. Reboot will also be very useful, seeing as that's allowed to run Libro, the only Pokemon that is currently in the game in this draft league that can change its type, minus Score Bunny, which will probably never get drafted. Mamoswine is really strong. Lucario being able to be one of those bait Pokemon that can go special or physical means opponent has to make the decision whilst prepping what they want to prep for. Miltank can come in, eat hits, milk drink. Ink body slam with the paralysis is just disgusting. Tapu Lele stopping all of those priority moves. Boost that would hit your Mamoswine. And Lucario is very helpful, stopping Sucker Punch that would hit Decidueye. Then you have Dredigan and other bulk. Problem I have with this team is Umbreon. We feel like you drafted this mon just because you needed a special wall, but it doesn't really fit into this team very well. Yeah, it's a useful Pokemon, but it's like it probably would have been played better with different mons that would have compensated and supported this mon better.
Yeah, yeah. So like, um, we made Tapulele your best, because priority, and specs just blow something out of the water. But like its move pool
Combine
is crazy.
disgusting.
What?
Combine Lele is disgusting.
Oh yeah, and the fact that it also gets future sight, which is kind of funny. So
Mm,
if you don't want to do bulky future sight, you could do fast future sight and just ruin someone's day with it. Also,
yeah,
side
boosted
shock,
by
side
quick
shock.
terrain is also nasty.
Yeah,
All around it's a good team, just maybe you could use a different special wall that isn't Umbreon, and that's really hard for me to say because I know how good Umbreon can be. Just it could be better placed with either different mons or on a different team.
yeah. Another thing is Umbreon's weaknesses: fairy, bug, and steel types. They wall them, but
Mm.
and fighting. So like Umbreon is never switching in safely. It has to make sure that the threat is gone before it can start being annoying. But
Yeah,
that's all we got to say about this. All in all, solid draft. Umbreon is just a problem child that sticks out.
yeah. Your team also your Lucario can't be used as effectively with you have a lot of priority on your team, which sucks because you have psychic terrain. That is also another downfall I've just noticed. You have so much vacuum wave, you have so much sucker punch. You have so much. You have Shadow Sneak, you have Ice Shard, which you can't. Some Mammoth you can't run Extreme Speed or Bullet Punch on Lucario, which are both amazing moves for Lucario to be able to run. It's just like Psychic Train is a bit of a hindrance on this team as well.
Yeah. So on to the next team. The
Oh,
hold on.
everything is dying. There we are. Max's team.
Yeah, Max is Shabab's Botan.
Yeah. Let's
Cool.
go with that. We'll try and not offend him with butchering his name.
I'm sorry, Max. I apologize. But yeah, solid team. We've got Lando T, Corsola, Shadow's Explosion Corsola. Okay. Tapu Fini, Bronzong, Buzzwole, Sneasel, Chop Kick, I forgot its name, uh, Zavilas, and Salazzle, along with Togedemaru, and yeah, Ratman, and Rotom. So first things first, why is Ratman here in the best Pokemon spot? Bias. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I couldn't even argue with it. It just wasn't worth my time.
Yeah, but besides the Ratman set, aka Endeavor, Spiky Shield, Toxic, Zigzap, um, this Pokemon has a surprising niche because you get Lightning Rod with it, you get Iron Barbs to punish U-turners. Uh, it's surprisingly good while being a Pika clone, which is what you rarely get. I think the best quotation marks Pika clone we got.
It's Mimikyu.
Mimikyu, yes, Mimikyu. But Togedemaru, decent surprise. Lightning Rod to boost your special attack, even though you will be playing a physical Togedemaru most of the time. Status spreading with Nuzzle Toxic. Volt Switch for getting out of situations, but you're most likely to be clicking U-turn. It helps with your pivot core. So, surprise, surprise, Ratman is actually good.
But
But
one thing I do have to say about this team, which everybody is thinking, is this team looks very similar to last season. Like, I can't help but notice you have Rotom, Salazzle, Finny, Landorus, and Buzzwole all again.
um,
Very similar to last season, which is one thing which I know was being spoken about a lot. Like, I feel like you probably would have benefited by getting more experience by switching out the Pokemon that you're using to maybe newer ones to build a different team comp. But no shade, you did get to play with it last season, and you'll probably be able to do it again if you play it well again. Just, I would have preferred to see a newer team.
if it helps, I wasn't here last season, so I don't know what you were running. But yeah, surprisingly enough, Rotom is your worst Pokemon. Status spreading is ruined by Finny's terrain. It's not bulky enough like Rotom Wash or Rotom Heat to do its nasty plot sets. So you'll most likely just be running like Scarf Trick, Volt Switch, Shadow Ball. It has a niche, but it's actually sadly enough outclassed by fucking Ratman. Do you know how bad that is to get outclassed by Togedemaru? Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Finny, your team would, once Finny goes down in the mid neutrality gone, your team is just Will-O-Wisp slaughter.
Oh,
And
definitely.
the ones that want to not be burned, both are floating. If you're running Levitate on your Bronzong, then you just get burned on that instantly. And then Landorus also doesn't want to be burned, and that's for a flying type, so that gets burned because it's not protected by misty terrain. And
Also,
your only form of removing that is aromatherapy on Serena, which you're probably going to run once maybe. But I doubt you even run it because it wouldn't be a consideration because you'll think, oh, I have Feeny, I don't need to worry about removing status effects.
yeah. Plus, your team has a lot of physical hitters. Like, I think the most special you can get is
The
Finny
last
and
one,
Salazzle. But yeah, other than
yeah,
that, next team, solid.
yeah.
It's just too physical
Wait,
based.
one more thing for this team. How the hell are you planning on removing hazards? Because you can't, you're gonna. Again, with all the other rapid spinners, clicking rapid spin on Serena is situational. If you click it on Finny, then you lose your Misty Terrain, so having that is pointless. Rotom is a Nichemon, and if you're running it on just bog standard Rotom, it's just not going to be strong. And Landorus is basically an all-out attacker. You don't realistically want to be running Defog on it.
Although, granted, bulky Landorus has been really popular in OU lately, so we might be seeing some of that. But
Who knows?
other than that, next team. Oh, the Raikus, aka Bolt's team.
To be
Uh,
unbiased as possible, you can just rip into my team as much as you like. And I'll
Perfect.
say right.
So, he's drafted Victini, Magnezone, Wheezing Galler, Zarude, Wigglytuff, Dracovish, Piloswine, Torn Eye, and Hitmonchan. So, first things first, these are all mons that people have, like, notorious people have used in the past. Victini and Lucas are usually two things you hear together. Zarude and A13, another thing you hear a lot. Um, but, Torn Eye is his best mon on this team just because of the fact that it gives him defog, tailwind support, uh, defiant, so strength sap is kind of a mistake here, and just priority taunt because he's going to be running prankster almost every week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really good. Tailwind setter, defogger because of prankster. As long as it's not a dark type, he's fine. By Hitmonchan. What the fuck is this thing doing here? I'm pretty sure he wanted Hitmontop, but instead he had to get Hitmonchan. Iron Fist is
Mm,
okay, but this thing's attack stat is trash, and its speed stat is worse. So, it's not really going to be doing much except clicking Mac Punch and rapid spinning before dying. Um, Wigglytuff, when you have Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, don't know why you drafted that. I guess you needed a Wish Passer. Um, Screen setting is good with Wigglytuff as it lets Dracovish come in and be more threatening. Zarude, Monkey hits hard. Easy. Uh, you have a lot of pivot because, Baton Pass, U-turn, Volt Switch, Rocks with Wigglytuff and Piloswine, and I think Magnezone too. Don't quote me on Magnezone though. Um, Victini based 100 across the board, so you could just run physical or special, or if you want to be a real nuisance, a like bulky Victini.
mm,
Yeah, solid team. I know a lot of people were all like, I see you're using things that we've used and then dropped. I mean, except for Victini. But yeah, like I know it looks. I say that it looks good, but another Pokemon that really enjoys this team would be Arcanine. Funnily enough, cause
mm.
like once Dracovish goes down, bulky fire types come in and they stay. He has no way of removing them. Maybe Piloswine, but Piloswine burned or intimidated, not as threatening anymore.
Yeah. The
So
one thing I have to shit on my own team here. Zarude would be so much cooler if it had a signature grass type move that wasn't jungle healing. It is by far the most useless move ever unless it's used in doubles. Even then, statuses are pretty much unheard of in doubles.
also maybe if Zarude had a better ability than Leaf Guard.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's about it. It's a good team. It's got a lot of like namesakes of other people, but who knows? Maybe he'll make them work, or maybe he won't. Who knows?
I'm gonna be honest, I woke up after the first round of drafting where I was pick 16 and saw that it was my turn and I was like, holy fuck, I need to draft, I don't know, time was on yet, and just drafted the first two months that came to mind, which were Dracovish and Victini.
Heard it here, folks. Desperation picks.
Yes. I was like, just pick them on, go.
All right. But other than that, next team. The
Virginia
Virginia
Scissors.
Scissors.
This is another good team. I know the Virginia Scissors has drafted good teams in the past, and with Aegis slash Curem, two very popular ones, both been in the playoffs before. Then you have Crocodile, Gardevoir's won the league before. Crobat is another solid pick. Caldio's been to playoffs. A lot of good ones that have all been playoffs. The one I don't really like on the team is Roselia and what's it called? Flareon. They just don't really fit in. And I don't really like Cypher. Cypher's just like it's gonna come to one, two, maybe three matches where it's gonna be used situationally.
True.
Apart from
True.
that, I do really like this team. In terms of support, it can do. You're not gonna get a single burn in Edgeway. The amount of heal bell this man has is kind of terrifying. And then he also has two wish passes in Gardevoir and Flareon. Flareon will probably never be used that way because it hasn't got the bulk to. And rocks just are slaughtered to this Pokemon. And then you've got Defog and Crobat. I don't really like seeing Defog Crobat. I don't really like seeing Crobat used bulkily, but I know it's quite popular. And then you have Cypher, which is just never going to be running a Defog set.
Also, can we talk about this man's Steel Fairy Dragon Core and his Dark Fighting Normal?
Psychic.
And
Yeah,
Psychic,
it's
yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, no, like, solid team all around. Aegis Slash, best lawn, obvious reasons, close combat, defensive or offensive sets. It's a genuine menace. It wakes up and chooses violence. But
This team,
Roselia,
if I have to fight and in the air, because Dracovish is going to be a pain in the ass to even attempt to break through this team. Keldeo can come in on a Dracovish, Durham can come in on it, Aegis Slash can come in on it. It's just like I'm going to really struggle to break through this team if I have to end up fighting it.
yeah. Who knows, maybe you'll get it week one.
Oh, that would be my luck.
Yeah. But other than that, solid team all around. I'm excited to see what it does. I'm excited to see what you do with it. But, once again, top tier team. Very glad to see it. Next team.
And then, oh, the team. This is our final team before we like have the actual rankings. Because we're weird like that. We like to review the teams individually. And it is a 13 team with a beautiful new logo.
Yeah.
We have the very screamer picks of A13, which are Garchomp, Zapdos, Comfey, and Jellicent, and then possibly Katana. I know he loves running in Paper Plane set in National Dex. Very strong Pokemon. You have a very good Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I like your picks with Toxtricity. I know that's going to put in a lot of work. Hasn't been picked for a couple seasons now, I don't think, but I do think it's going to put in a lot of work for you. You have Lickitung, which is with an Eviolite on it is a pain in the ass to break. Cloud9 means you can stop the Sun team from being able to lower the accuracy of your Hurricanes. Incineroar is going to be amazing. I think on this team, being able to come in and intimidate Mons and then cycle out with Parting Shot. Yes, all around solid team. One problem I found with the team was Cresselia. It's everybody knows what it does. Levitate isn't great because it can't get boosted by any teams that have Psychic Terrain. And once it's getting towards the end of its life, it's just going to click Healing Wish, and then it's just going to be like, what have you done? It's a very easy mon to stall out, in my opinion. Strength Tap is huge on Jealousy as well. I forgot about that. Overall, I think this is one of the strongest teams, and it's quite a solid team in general. Not many flaws with it. It'll be interesting to see how you play with the A13.
I mean, to be fair,
Apart from
I've been
that,
making
it's
crackhead sets, so
yeah, crackhead energy is what you are known for.
So yeah, I will, however, say before we go on to the tier list, the upgrade from Torracat to Incineroar might be helpful, or it might hurt this team because Torracat with Eviolite had bulk, while Incineroar also having decent bulk doesn't have the Eviolite to like bolster it down and make it,
yeah,
a pain. But Jellicent's here to support, so. Yeah. Other than that, let's just move on to the rankings.
With this slide, we are by no means saying that any of these teams are awful or anything. Just somebody had to be last, and some of the teams just aren't better. Others, most of the teams in the draft are phenomenal. Oh, and if you can prove us wrong, we are more than happy with that. We would love to see you prove us wrong.
Yeah. So
But anyway, in D tier we have the National Kings. I'm sorry to do this to you, Braves, but I just couldn't get past the hail. I don't think your team is going to be able to comp well together. I don't think. I think out of all the teams, it probably had the worst synergy. And then the C tier teams are just teams that we thought were like, yeah, they're decent, but they're like kind of the weaker ones or very well known with what they do.
the B tier teams were like they're good. Like there's something you'd see on ladder, but at the same
Mm.
time you're like, oh, okay, my like we know how to play around this. Like they're average teams basically. Like there's something that you'd see daily, and you have no problem dealing with. A tier, these are like back with the bangers or absolutely terrifying to see. Once again, these are all people that very scary teams,
Um,
very scary teams.
the draft is just can't it. The thing is, draft doesn't always mean that your team is gonna do the best. It just means we think you've drafted a solid team. It will just depend on how you use it. Because if you use it poorly, then you're not gonna get anywhere.
Oh yeah,
And then
and
we have the team that we ultimately think is the best, which was Bladles. We came to that conclusion because all round it's a very solid team. It sucks that we had to give it to the past champion, but he did a really good job with his draft, and I just couldn't find any other team which I think will most likely make it to playoffs yet again.
yeah, but we debated this, we argued and counter argued and made a bunch of like different points, but in the end,
Adding an extra hour onto the amount of time we spent making these slides.
oh yeah, it's but this is the tier list. If you want to prove us wrong, do it in season. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. This was great, and
And keep an eye out because I am very much considering doing like a mid-season review to see all the standings if Southside Braves isn't considering doing his weekly reviews. But even if he is, I still think I might do like a mid-season review and then one before playoffs. Just be like, these are teams that got playoffs. Did you beat our expectations? And I would love to see you do that.
so yeah. Other than that, this has been A13 and Volt. Yeah, and other than that, thank you so much for watching. You like what you saw, you like what you heard, you know what to do. You got a final message before I hit stop?
Um, Links to all the coaches will be in the description if we know about you. If you don't have one, slaughter us in our DMs and we'll add it to the description of the video. Apart from that, just thank you for watching if you've made it all the way. And yeah, just subscribe to all the coaches in the description so you can see how the season unfolds.
Yes, sir. Other than that, see ya.